morning, ESPON family. Good morning, Europe. Dear Vice Minister, distinguished guests, I'm very pleased today to welcome so many delegates from around Europe. And today, as already mentioned by Vice Minister, we gather at the right moment to discuss the future of European territorial cohesion. And this ESPON seminar takes place amidst a series of important processes. Yesterday, the Commission released the legislative proposals on the future of cohesion policy. So this is the right time to start the discussion. At the same time, this seminar seeks to develop answers on the future of territorial cohesion in quite a difficult environment that is characterized by limited resources and the need to do more with less, persistent territorial inequalities compounded by a lack of trust to the European Union. I am pleased that we are guests in a country where trust towards the European Union outweighs distrust, and Bulgaria at the moment ranks second in terms of EU trust according to the latest Eurobarometer surveys. But a serious concern, however, is that still many Europeans admit distrust. At the same time, a recent ESPON research revealed that 45% of the entire EU space is covered by inner peripheries. This is a territorial phenomenon that entails the socio-economic disconnection from neighboring territories. They are caused by different factors, including poor economy, unfavorable demographic situation, and also a lack of access to centers and services. And even more unsettling is the evidence of the significant proportion of all member states that are currently at risk of becoming more peripheralized. Knowing the gravity of the problem, we have gathered today to discuss solutions. And what evidence of ESPON suggests boils down to one word, which is cooperation. Cooperation for efficient public investment, cooperation that rehabilitates territorial disconnection, and of course, cooperation that restores trust. And these are all functions of what we call the place-based approach. And let me quote the opening video that we just saw on one important notion. It is the people who make the place. If we want equally competitive, socially inclusive, and sustainable places in Europe, it is because we want to have prosperous and livable environment for our fellow citizens and their descendants, regardless of the place where they live. It is a vision for the well-being of citizens that nurtures our vision for the places. And today we want to make clear that the nucleus of a place-based development and the idea is the European citizen. We cannot understand a place-based potential without understanding how people relate to different places. And the choices of where people live, work, raise their children, spend their free time and invest may not have the same territorial destination. And the result are different assets for different places. The bottom line is that people's choices inevitably determine the potential of places, as well as how places relate to each other. The right place-based vision is therefore one that understands people's relation to a place and respect their needs that arise from this relation. And trust can be restored when government of the place is transformed into governance with people that relate to this place. While traditions are keeping us alive, as also mentioned in the video that we just saw, the untraditional and daring solutions are moving us forward. What we see as an untraditional solution is the belief that places evolve through interactions with other places in often an open and also a fuzzy way. A number of settlements in Europe originate nowadays from traditional industries and have grown accustomed to traditional interactions with places, but these interactions have changed and in some instances completely evaporated in the wake of the economic transition. and trying to revive and reinforce them in a traditional regional development thinking produces little or even the opposite effect, if not motivated by people's choices. This certainly doesn't mean that links between places need to be abandoned. On the contrary, we advocate that territorial links need to be intensified and multiplied based on a better understanding of one's own positions in processes of industrial transition. And this is how an untraditional place-based thinking can most effectively reverse peripheralization. This is a daring move that implies new thinking and new action beyond traditional borders. And later today, we will introduce an inspiring example from Finland, where 6 cities have joined forces in one integrated territorial investment program. And it is based on the conviction that openness, digitalization, and partnerships increase productivity and jobs through the best possible deployment of place-based comparative advantages. The challenge that I see for a place-based approach is its perceived complexity. But this is in fact caused by a stereotype inflicted by complex regulatory frameworks and eligibility rules that we have to overcome, and that have so far not encouraged, in many cases, integrated thinking and action. But in reality, the place-based approach is not just a theoretical concept. It's alive and it's gaining traction in Europe. And in fact, regions and cities have already accumulated a substantial experience in doing what we call a place-based approach. The only thing what they need is acknowledging and also receiving support to the visions for their development that they designed for themselves. The discussion on the next generation of policies and their place-based rationale is now facing an important milestone. And having legislative proposals for the future on the table, ESPON will offer its best assistance to the negotiation process with evidence-based policy advice. And we would like you to be part of this process. And we're very much looking forward to a lively debate with you today and tomorrow. The 3 policy labs and also the subsequent plenary session on cross-sectoral integration later today seek to contribute to the notion that cohesion policy shall be closer to citizens, social and carbon-free, as also communicated by the Commission. Tomorrow, we will offer advice on how to measure the impact of integrated investments as the one that made jointly by the 6 cities in Finland. And you can also gain insights into our territorial impact assessment services or monitoring tools for cross-border, transnational, and also macro-regional functional areas. We hope that with the support of ESPON, you can shape your own vision of a sound place-based thinking. And speaking of this, let me express my sincere gratitude for the upcoming contribution of Professor Fabrizio Barca. He is the celebrated architect of a place-based thinking that we are going to discuss today. And Professor Barca, I'm certain that I share this sentiment with all the guests today in the room when I say that we are very privileged to have you with us. And I would also like to thank Vice Minister Denica Nikolova and the colleagues from the Bulgarian Ministry of Regional Development and Public Works. We are very pleased to experience this very kind Bulgarian hospitality at first hand. And with this, let me finish and also wish you all a fruitful exchange today, insightful sessions, and overall a very inspiring 2 days in Sofia. Thank you.